Hi, this is Grant with ReCraft Creative Reuse Center in Greenville, South Carolina, with a challenge video for the Games and Stickers and Stuff Loose Parts DIY Art Box. Now, this box, just like all of our loose parts boxes, is designed for open-ended play. Open-ended question asking and curiosity seeking and tinkering. That means that there are no rules or instructions that come with this thing. Now that may sound really exciting to you, or you may open up this box and find all of these quirky, cool, reclaimed materials and say, what can I do with it? No, really, what can I do with it? And so if you'd like to channel your creativity into a specific project, this video was made just for you. My challenge to you is to take the stuff that you find inside this box and make your very own board game. Now that may sound like a really big challenge, but believe it or not, you can actually create your very own game using the stuff inside this box. Now we've got a couple guide bars, I guess you could say, to help us accomplish this. First of all, you're not going to start from scratch, although if you'd like to start from scratch, you're welcome to do that. What I suggest you do to make your own board game is start with a board game that you already have in your house that you really like to play. So this is this weird game that I like to play. Everyone looks at pictures and you decide whose picture is like the best or the funniest and so on. I don't need to explain all the rules to you. The important thing is though, that the rules are already written for this game. This board game comes with a board, a track that people follow. There's little game pieces, these little rabbits, and then these art cards. So there's all these images. So we have all of the pieces already of a really fun, workable game. How are we going to make it our own? Well, we want to make sure that we abide by a few basic rules of making a successful game. And to help us with what those rules are, I actually have this giant college textbook called Rules of Play, Game Design Fundamentals. I'm not suggesting you go out and grab this unless you're already in college or you're an adult. It's a fascinating book. Did you know that you can go to college to learn how to design games? And in fact, you can actually, if you're really good at this, it can be your job. There are people whose job it is to make those video games and board games and all of those other things that you like to play. So yeah, it's a real job and it's really interesting. Learning the rules of play and how it is that we have fun playing with each other actually tells us a lot about who we are as humans and tells us a lot about our community. So I'm going to boil this book down into 4 really simple lessons. All games have 4 things in common. The 4 things are this. Pretty much every game has this. All games are interactive or social. So what I mean by that interactive is that I, as a player in this game, I make a choice to do something. And when I do that thing, something happens and then it comes back to me. And then I get to make another choice and then something else happens, right? So most games are played with 2 or more players, but there are things like solitaire, certainly. It's a card game that you play by yourself. Even in solitaire, I make a choice of which card to flip over or play, and then I'm presented with more choices. So there's this interactivity even between me and the cards. Even if you're playing a video game, you're probably playing with people around the world or against other, computers and things. So games are always interactive. Most of them are social. That means we do them with other people. The second thing that all games have in common is that they involve a story, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Let's look at this board game here for an example, right? So what's the first thing you see up here? It's a start. All games usually have like a setup. Like if you're playing a game of baseball, the 9 players rush onto the field. They all know their basic positions. And that's the setup or the starting phase of the game. Then there's a middle where you're actually playing and you're interacting. In this one, the objective is to progress through all of these different steps all the way to 30, right? What happens when you get to 30? Well, all games also have an end. That end can come in a variety of ways. A lot of games, we think about games as like, or sports especially, as like winning. Well, if you win the game, if someone wins the game, then certainly the game is over, right? There are some games where everyone wins, and that means that the game is over. Think about doing a jigsaw puzzle, right? If everybody has teamed up to put together this 1,000-piece puzzle, once we've completed the picture, everybody gets to share in that sense of success that we did this together. So sometimes at the end of a game, everybody wins. And sometimes no one wins at all. Time limits can set the end of a game, for example. Often, like in soccer, a soccer game can end, and it's a draw, we say. No team has scored more than the other. And that's fine too. But all games have that story, beginning, middle, and end. The third thing that all games have in common is that they involve rules. And believe it or not, the rules of the game is what creates the fun of the game. Rules and fun are two sides of the same coin. Think about a sandbox for a second, right? So the rules are like the frame of that sandbox. And they're hard and they're rigid. They're made of wood, let's say, or plastic. And like, they're not really any fun. But what they do is they tell us where the edges are. Inside of those edges, we can build whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. That's the fun, is creating inside of the rules. Once we go out of bounds, what we're really doing is we're stepping away from the shared fun that we've created inside the boundary. So rules help us communicate with other people where our boundaries are for having fun. Play by the rules, like I'm willing to play this game and that will be fun for me. But if you break the rules, it won't be fun for me. So rules communicate how we have fun. The last thing, and this was really interesting, I learned this, is that almost all games tell us something about our own culture. What is culture? Culture is what your values are and what your community's shared values are. And so almost all games tell us something about what those values are. I'm going to use this game as an example here. This game uses artwork, and basically you are voting on whose artwork more closely resembles like some thought that you have. I know it's kind of strange. I'm not going to explain all the rules and everything. But I was thinking about it, what values this board game mean to me. And one, everybody gets to vote in this board game. So I'm really big on fairness, and that everybody gets to decide together. And so that's true. Everybody in this game has a say in the outcome. The other thing that I really like about this game is that it's about artwork and creativity. And so you get to explore creativity. Creativity is definitely a big value for me. So all games have these four things in common. They're interactive, there's a story, they have rules, which sets the fun, and they tell us something about our culture. And so with that, we can take any board game that you already have or create your own from scratch. But so long as it meets those four things, it'll probably be a good game. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to show you the kinds of things that I mean when I say make your own board game. This is a board game that my family knows how to play already. We all enjoy playing it. But you know, we haven't played it in a while. And maybe the reason we haven't played it is because we're getting a little bored with it. It's getting a little stiff. For example, there are these cute little rabbits, right? But you know what? I don't think I want a cute little rabbit anymore. I think I want something else. All of your games and stickers boxes have this huge bag of weird, odd, and game pieces in them. I want to be, from now on, this wooden piece. And that's going to be my game token. And in fact, my number one new rule of this board game is you can use anything you want as your token. So my brother Josh, he might use a coin. I'm going to use this wooden thing. My wife Nicole still wants to be the green rabbit. Always the green rabbit. Okay, so that's rule number one. Rule number two is, let's see what else I've got in here. Okay, I've got some puzzle pieces in here. And anytime someone lands on a puzzle piece, I'm going to put those on my favorite numbers. 7, 29, and 11. 7, 11, 29. Anytime someone lands on 7, 11, or 29, they're going to get to take a picture card from one of the other players. Now again, that might not make sense to you, but if you knew all the rules, it would make sense to you. So that's the second new rule. And the third new rule, modified rule of this board game, so I can make it my own, is that when someone reaches the end, the 30, I'm going to share something from this box. So whoever wins, they'll get to reach in my awesome loose parts box and pick whatever they want. And this box is filled with lots and lots of fun things. So hopefully that will be like a really nice prize for them when they reach the end of this new board game. So that's it. That's my challenge to you, is to design your own game. It could be a board game. It could be an outdoor game. I have no idea what it's going to be, but I hope it's fun for you, and I hope you enjoy our loose parts box. Thanks so much.